Put your hands together for the very funny Linda Menard!
Hey, y'all. Who here likes flying? Airports. Yeah, you're lying. Or maybe you've only been to the Burlington airport. Well, I hate flying after having done it a bunch, but I love exploring. And a while ago, when JetBlue was first starting out, they had this all-you-can jet pass. It was like one price, fly anywhere you want for the month of October. And I was like, all right, I'm taking it. And so I flew to a new state every single weekend. Not great for your health, but that's what I did. And the more you fly, the more you're going to be likely to come across some weird situations or straight up bad situations. First place I went to a party, a totally normal party. The only thing that was not super normal was that one girl was handing out push pops, chocolate and vanilla push pops, in the shape of a penis. And she handed me one, and I wasn't really ready for it. I wasn't hungry, I guess. And I put it in my bag and forgot about it. And then I got to the airport, and it set off the alarms. And so they pulled over my bag, because I guess it was like a pudding push pop or something. So it had like liquid in it. And as soon as he pulled out my bag, I was like, oh my God. That's what it is. And I'm not really a person to carry a bunch of sex toys in my luggage. So like I was a little thrown off, and I was like just waiting for my fate. And he pulls it out, and it's this big black cock. This chocolate. And he is traumatized. Like his face is like, and he doesn't make eye contact with me. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, I kind of want to tell him the truth. But the truth like wasn't any better. Oh, it's a push pop. It's a treat. It's liquid, and it wouldn't have. No, it wasn't gonna happen. And normally they're like, oh, this is what set it off. But he was just totally silent the whole time. And then he eventually put it all back in and zipped it up and just. And I was like, all right, I'm glad I'm not seeing you ever again. And I'm sure he thought the same thing. So, that happened. I'm like, all right, yay, never again. And then the next weekend, I went to Seattle. And there's no parties, kept it really tame, went on a walk on the beach. And I stumbled across what I considered to be this industrial masterpiece, this piece of apocalyptic art. It was this rebar shaft with a chunk of spiky cement junk on one end of it. It was definitely a weapon. And I was like, but I thought it was a masterpiece of some kind. So I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I am never getting this on the plane. I'm never getting this. I was thinking it's trash on the beach or it's trash in the airport. So maybe I should try it. So I put it in my bag, and this time I'm kind of ready, right? All the alarms go off, and they pull over my bag, and the lady pulls it out, this mace, effectively. And she goes, "What's this?" And I was totally ready. I just very simply said, "Art." And she put it back. She put this back. And I was like, whoa, okay. And so I got what it was effectively a major weapon onto the plane. I was like, all right, I could have killed 3 or 4 people, or at least given them tetanus with this object. Oh my God. And so after that, I was pretty pumped. I was like, all right, I can get anything on a plane as long as I'm comfortable. A while later, I went to Honduras. And that was going between countries is a little bit different. I went to Honduras because it was cheap. When I got there, I found that, oh my God, the fruit's amazing. They have this thing called a mangosteen, nothing like a mango. It looks fake. It's this round purple ball with thick leaves on the top, and it looks like it's made entirely of wax. And on the inside, it's like a lychee. So it was delicious, incredible. I had to bring it back. So I shoved a bunch of fruit into my bag. When I got to the airport, they have you sign a bunch of stuff when you go between countries. Some of those things were, do you have fruit in your bag? And I was like, no. And then like, did somebody else who was not you pack your bag? And I'm like, no. And then there was more of this. It wasn't the end. And I'm not super comfortable with flying. So I was getting less and less comfortable, like, oh shit, now, like continuously lying that I definitely packed my bag. There was definitely no fruit in my bag, I promise. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, after the first couple, I'm like in it for the long run, so, okay. So after signing a bunch of papers that swearing there's no fruit in my bag and I know exactly what's in my bag, it gets pulled aside and they start pulling out all the fruit. And they sit me down in a chair and they're like, you can go to jail for this. Like, oh my God, and I kind of deserve it too, for all that lying. And so they're like pulling out the bag, they're talking amongst themselves, and I'm crying in this chair. And then they're like, all right, move. They have me move chairs, so they keep moving me into another chair. And then they're talking, and then I move into another chair, and they're still talking, another chair. And like after a little while, I'm like, oh my God, these are the chairs to jail, the chairs that lead to jail. And by some absolute miracle, they're like, you know what, you can go. And one of these fruits you can have. So they presented me with the one fruit. It was a lime. And I had that. So I was like leaving the airport later. I'm like, oh my God, this is not worth it. This is not worth it, this one lime. And so now I am on a list. And every single time I go to the airport, doesn't matter what I have, they pull me aside, and it was all I got from that was just that one line. And that's my set. Thank you very much.